Welcome to NACo's County Countdown. I'm Erin Hurley, NACo's Managing Director of Government Affairs, running through the top issues that are important to counties as intergovernmental partners. First up, Congress has released a short-term funding bill to fund the federal government ahead of the upcoming September 30th deadline. On September 16th, the U.S. House released the text of a clean continuing resolution, meaning a bill with no policy riders designed simply to extend government funding at current levels through November 21st. One thing the bill does do, in addition to funding the government, is provide additional security assistance for Congress, the Supreme Court, and the executive branch. Lawmakers voted on the measure last week, which now heads to the Senate for a vote, just days before a potential government shutdown. Counties rely on federal funds to deliver essential services, and we continue to urge Congress and the administration to reach bipartisan full-year appropriations agreements by the start of each fiscal year. Second, applications for the Rural Health Transformation Program are now open. Last week, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, unveiled details on how states can apply to receive funding from the $50 billion Rural Health Transformation Program, created under H.R. 1, the reconciliation package signed into law back in July. The program, which only states are directly eligible for, will invest $10 billion annually from fiscal year 2026 through 2030, with the goal of strengthening local healthcare systems, particularly in areas where hospitals face financial strain or workforce shortages. As states and CMS will have broad discretion over how funds are allocated and what qualifies as rural, counties should work closely with their state officials in shaping transformation plans to ensure local priorities are reflected in states' applications. CMS will host an informal webinar this week on September 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern about the program and application requirements. State applications are due November 5th and awards expected by December 31st of 2025. Next, NACo testifies before Congress on county priorities. Over the last 2 weeks, NACo has testified 3 separate times before the U.S. House of Representatives, including the U.S. Agriculture Committee and the U.S. Natural Resources Committee. Deputy County Administrator Joy Bivens of Franklin County, Ohio, highlighted the importance of intergovernmental partnerships and effective administration of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Commissioner Jerry Taylor of Garfield County, Utah, focused on the intersection of federal lands management, conservation, and energy development. And Commissioner Paul Heimel of Potter County, Pennsylvania, provided Congress with recommendations for how to reform U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development to ensure all rural counties have the tools we need to build stronger, more resilient communities. Next up, the Department of Agriculture rescinds a rule prohibiting construction on Forest Service land. Last week, comments were due in response to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's proposed rescission of the 2001 roadless rule, which has long prohibited road construction, reconstruction, and timber harvesting on nearly 45 million acres of U.S. forest land. Repealing the rule would open these areas to more active forest management, directly impacting counties that face high wildfire risks and economic challenges tied to limited land access. Counties have consistently emphasized that local decision-making is essential to ensuring safe, resilient, and economically viable forest communities. Now that the comment period has closed, NACo will work with USDA to ensure county voices remain central as the agency considers final actions. And finally, federal agencies have announced a new consolidated department to provide targeted wildfire response. On September 15th, the U.S. Departments of Interior and Agriculture announced new directives to streamline federal wildfire response, including the creation of a U.S. Wildland Fire Service within the Department of Interior. These changes will consolidate firefighting resources, standardize hiring and pay across agencies, and strengthen collaboration between the Department of Interior and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, while also establishing a new National Fire Intelligence Center. The goal is to improve coordination and efficiency in managing wildfires on federal lands, where overlapping responsibilities among federal, state, and local entities make response efforts complex but critical. Counties remain essential partners in wildfire mitigation and response, and both departments have committed to seeking county input as these changes are implemented. Thank you for watching, and visit NACo.org for all the latest information and resources.